Good morning. My name is Larry. Blessed Larry. Wow. Wait a minute, that's a little timid. Wow, that's what I really needed to say. What a blessing to receive that blessing from you. And with a microphone and a TV camera on me, I feel really empowered this morning. I'll bet you I could get thousands of likes on Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, Chatbot, Sandbox, whatever those media platforms are. And I could become an influencer. I could influence people to do things with those thousands of likes. But maybe not. I might be overstating it just a little bit. Maybe I'll just get myself to like myself. I don't know. But I was able, with that little introduction and being dramatic, to introduce to you a word I want to talk about today, and that's influencers. But there are two other words I want to use as well, and it's pebbles and ripples. Now, we all know that when you throw a pebble in a pond, it creates a ripple, and that ripple flows outward as far as that pond extends. So we've got influencers, pebbles, and ripples. But I'm going to make you put your thinking cap on today as you follow along with me. At least I hope you follow along with me. I'm going to give you an alternate definition for each of those words. When I say influencers, you think leaders. When I say pebbles, you think actions. And when I say ripples, you think impact and results. So, what better place to talk about influencers than here in a church? Our church history is ripe with influencers from many, many years ago. If we go back 2,000 years, we've got the disciples. We've got Matthew and Mark and Luke and John and all the rest of the disciples. We've even got Jesus. And these people were all influencers. And they all had pebbles that they were throwing out into the pond. And those pebbles became ripples. And those ripples became the church that we are today. But there's one thing about all of those people that they have in common, and I don't. And that's I never met any of them personally. And I don't know what they really look like. It'd be kind of nice to be able to relate more closely with those people. I know the pastor each week in Bible study and up here during our services talks about all of those people and all the other influencers of the Bible. So I'd like to get something that's a little closer to home. So I want to skip forward about 2,000 years. Let's say 1914 as an example. Very strange year to pick, I'll admit. But that was the year when Wheeler Memorial Church in South Omaha and the influencers of Wheeler Memorial decided that there needed to be a church in a small slice of South Omaha, southwest Omaha. And so they got together and they created a mission church called Mosier Memorial Presbyterian Church. Now that's quite a ripple that they got out of the pebbles they threw there. And those ripples extend to today. But the other thing that is common about 1914 and 2,000 years ago, I didn't know any of those people either. I can't really relate to them because I can't visualize them. So we need to skip forward another 40 years or so. Let's say 1958. Now, that was 67 years ago. And I was just a young boy in South Omaha. I was engaged to a young, sweet lady in South Omaha. Let's call her Kay. One among many. And she influenced me to abandon my Lutheran ways and become a Presbyterian. Well, that led to me, That led to me standing in front of a group of influencers, elders and what have you, from the small church called Mosier Memorial, as they examined me for membership. And they were throwing their pebbles in the pond at that time and thinking that I might become one of the ripples and be with the church for a period of time. If we skip forward, and now the thing about that though, those influencers, I can picture every one of them. I knew every one of them. They're very real to me, and I remember them today. There was Roy Robbins. There was Harlan Saint. There was Henry Dessler. There was Bill Barkus. You know, these names are familiar to me. To most of you, probably not so much, because they're all gone now. But then if we skip forward another dozen years or so, there were two small churches in South Omaha that decided to pool their resources and their pebbles and become a better and bigger church. And so our church became Mosier Pilgrim Presbyterian Church. And I remember, again, I got acquainted with all of those influencers. One in particular stands out this morning, and that was Dwayne Tunnyhill, who left us not too long ago. But again, more and more people out here now in this group might remember a few of those leaders. But to get you to some people you might remember better, let's jump forward another 40 years or so. And again, two churches in South Omaha decided they could do better if they merged and put all their pebbles in one pond. And that pond became Discovery Presbyterian Church. And the ripples from that pond extend to this very day when I'm standing up here. Now, you all may remember most of the influencers from that time. And today, 12 years later, I'm looking out at what our church is today. And I see influences everywhere I look. If you turn to your left, to your right, look ahead of you and behind you, you will see influencers, because you're all influencers. And you're saying to yourself, what am I doing? I don't have any pebbles to throw in a pond. Well, you really do. As Presbyterians, one of the main things that we always talk about, we've used for years, is time, talents, and treasures. Those are pebbles. Those are big pebbles. They're stones. And we can all have those. You're throwing a pebble in the pond when you call upon someone and visit someone who's been ill. You throw a pebble in the pond when you say hello to someone in the commons area during fellowship hour, whether they be a member of this church or they be a visitor. You're throwing pebbles in the pond when you come up here and mow the lawn or wash the windows, or when you host the fellowship hour. You're throwing pebbles in the pond when you voice your opinion about some project that the church is getting ready to undertake. You are influencing the direction that this church is going to take. My hope and my wish and my prayer this morning is that 67 years from now, in 2092, somebody will be standing here in this very spot saying, wow, think of what those influencers back in 2025 did to this church. They've increased and expanded the ministry of mission, and we are a better place because of it. Amen.